Yeah, basically I just want to do a little bit of a tutorial, I guess, on how to survive these hardcore servers because I do think people are struggling. Um, Sakal, in my opinion, is not hard and people are clearly struggling. So I'm just gonna go to the real dayz here. This is probably the hardest server you'll find on console. Almost certainly, like cold is extreme. I think it's like minus 30 Celsius off the top of my head. So cold wise, it's gonna be one of the coldest servers you can find. And if you don't know how to survive, you're gonna struggle. So I'm just gonna go through all the basics. What's going on? Go. We're getting armor. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure about armor. I like the looks of it, the gunplay and everything's just like dayz. But it's not quite as polished as dayz. It is polished and it's not in other senses. Like, the graphics are not great. dayz has the upper hand on the graphics even though it's the older engine. So I don't know. I'd probably just wait a bit, see how it progresses, but it's definitely something worth looking into. Alright, servers up. Regular cold for us Canadians. Yeah, this guy knows how to survive. dayz veteran right here. He wishes. Alright, so what? Oh, nice. Great way to start a stream. Well, this guy's actually sick anyway. He's not a particular gear, but I'm just basically gonna kill him off, to be honest. Start over fresh, give you an idea how you actually go from 0 to being geared. Alright. So on this server, you're gonna spawn with a knife. Pretty basic stuff. Knife. You'll have rags. You will spawn with a road flare, which is handy. You kind of need it because it's that cold on here. But I'll just show you what to do basically. So you spawn in, like I said, you got the apple, you got the road flare, you got the knife. Drop the map unless you really need to the game. You don't need it. Looks like we got a Berezino spawn. I think it's Berezino. Could be Electra, could be wrong. So as soon as you spawn in, head to the nearest house basically. I think the sun is going down, so this is not ideal. It's going to be pretty rough, this is. Nighttime is the coldest part of the day, so as a freshie, it's not going to be great. If you can, try and find a house that's kind of off the beaten track. I know you don't always have the option, but try and stay away from people. People will be friendly to a point, but just try and stay away. And obviously you can get bark. The reason I'm using the rags here is because we only have the one knife. It's badly damaged, so that's not going to last long. It may have 2, maybe 3 uses in it. So you want to use it as little as possible. Going to be cooking the apple as well. Break your stick up would be helpful. Basically all you're doing is getting the heat buff, so you want to get the heat buff immediately to stop your food and everything, your health depleting as quickly as possible, ideally. That way you can just stay in the game for a bit longer. Just hanging in there. If you have a heat pack, like this thing here, activate it. It'll just help you get the buff a lot quicker. And if you don't, well, that's what the apple's for. Just cook that up, and it will heat up, and then you can put that in your jacket. Resist the temptation to eat it, and it will just act as a heat pack for a few minutes. worth mentioning as a fresher, you're not going to get any serious heat buff. You're probably going to get away with maybe 1 or 2 pluses at the lower right there. You will almost certainly not get a 3. So, just let your heat buff build there. If you do find tools like this thing here, bear in mind you can grab rocks from stones and things. A lot of people don't realise that. So this thing here is quite valuable as far as knives go and stuff. Rags, you know, you want to be kind of stockpiling clothing for later on. That way you can combine 12 rags to make the rope, and then you can go fishing and all that stuff. But for the time being, just focus on getting this heat buff here. And again, this here, the road flare, you want to probably hold on to this. You really have no other means of making fires. And with knives being pretty short, you just want to kind of save those. I mean, this has probably got 2 goals now, I'd say. If we're lucky. So that's probably 2 fires in that knife there. Alright, that's 2 heat buffs, we're not going to get more than that. So at the point where you've got your first heat buff, you want to kind of just prioritise looking for knives, food, any better clothing if you can find it. But primarily you're looking for some kind of a sharp object, or the tool there to actually making it. Oh, and if you find a disinfectant, that's probably worth holding on to as well. Especially because there's no bandages on this server. Basically the disinfectant can disinfect the rags and prevent you from getting the blood infection. That's the only reason to pick it up. So we got the Berezino spawn. Is this Berezino? This is Electro, isn't it? Even I get confused sometimes. Yeah, I think we are Electro, if I'm not mistaken. I'll know when I come over this hill if I see the church. I always get mixed up with them. Anyway, we'll loot these houses. I'm not going to go crazy looting every single house. We're just going to loot a few. You know, you can loot every house if you want. You won't find too much on the coast on this server. Like I say, it's proper hardcore. You know, you'll find knives, basic weapons. Talking of knives, there we go. You may find shotgun, you know, double barrel shotguns, spotters. It's going to mainly be IJs. So I wouldn't really expect to find anything too crazy. But if you do, you know, that's great. I'd say as soon as you found your second knife, you're basically just looking for rags. You've got to prioritise rags because you want that fishing rod. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of going about surviving these servers, but fishing is probably going to be the easiest way of doing it. Especially now you have the wooden hooks, so for those that don't know, you can now make wooden hooks from sticks. Previously you had to have bones, that was the only way you could survive. So basically, once you've got yourself a spare knife, you're ready to go. Go to town on these clothes, get some rags. And once you've got 12, you're pretty much set to go. So you make your rope by combining both stacks of 6. Go find yourself a long stick, shouldn't be too hard. Actually, you know what? We won't do that right away because, I mean, we do have that stuff, but what you don't want to do early on is get yourself a cut. Because without bandages, you know, if you only have the rags, there's a good chance you're going to get the blood infection. That'll do us. So definitely, if you got spare rags, make yourself gloves, the hand wraps. Like I say, get yourself a stick. Just basic stuff, just make yourself a fishing rod. Now, you don't need worms, but they do speed up the process of fishing, and they also give you, I believe, like more fish to actually eat at the end of the day, and you get quality, you know, better quality fish. But if you're short of knives, you know, you can do it without worms. So I'm gonna save that other knife. Just don't want to end up with no knives. Oh yeah, what's going on? Sam Chucks, is that? You don't need to be super in a rush to find all this stuff. You know, you've got a few minutes, especially because you basically spawn with the cat food there. But you don't want to take too long because it's so cold. That cat food will soon be gone. I think that's better than that, isn't it? Just a little bit. Alright, I think I'm gonna head down there and start doing some fishing. Alright, sweet, we found a shotgun. Just need to find some ammo now. That is pretty much all you'll find on the coast. You're not going to find anything too crazy. All the good stuff is up north, like tier 3, tier 4. Is that epoxy? Yeah, I think we'll leave it for now. Pretty rare that though. I mean, you don't see that too often on here. Train, it's probably worth a look. Again, you really won't find anything too crazy. There's literally a log in there, if that gives you any ideas. It's pretty rough as far as loot goes. Oh, a bag, that'll do us. Honestly, bags are pretty rare on here, so plenty of knives on the coast. There will be a lot of knives at tier 1 in coastal areas. Just because of how hard the server is, it's you know, it's been balanced for that reason alone. IJ mag there. That's it. Yeah, once you get inland, the knives kind of dry up a little bit. I think I'll make another fire actually, before we do any fishing. Ideally, I'd say you want to be getting 2 fires out of this thing because, like I say, you don't want to be wasting those knives. Until you find matches anyways. It's kind of all you have. To be honest, the hardest part about these servers is literally the knives. You know, some servers you don't even get a knife. And that can be hard in itself, but it's more so annoying because you're basically just spawning and dying. And the life is essentially just finding a knife. Like, it's just more luck based than it is actual skill based. At least on here you spawn with a knife and you know you've got a chance of finding knives. They're not that hard to find. They do spawn in badly damaged. That one we got damaged luckily. But it's only a steak knife, so you've probably got again like 5 uses max on that thing. Which is why you just want to be saving those knives as much as you can. Yeah, I'm mainly doing this because people are obviously struggling to get inland. Like we've been up there for hours, days even, and we barely even see anybody. So I just don't think that many people are making it off the coast. Where did we say we spawned in the end? I couldn't quite figure out if it was Electro or Berezino. I do recognise it, I just can't remember which one it is. I'd say it's probably Electro. I won't know until I see the church, like, for sure. It's looking like we're either gonna be doing a Mogilevka run up towards probably I don't know, where would we go? Starry Sabor, I guess we'll go that end. Or if we're in Berezino we'll do Gorka again, either Gushino or Alsa way. No, we've got the 2 buffs I think, no not quite. It does become quite tedious early on making fires because you just don't have any matches as well. But once you find maxes or a lighter, it just honestly becomes so much easier, and obviously by that time you should have better gear, so the heat buff there will last longer. I think roughly with best and high insulation you can go about 15 minutes without needing a fire, maybe even longer. Which honestly isn't too bad, you know, a fire at 15 minutes. Just gonna fish under this tree here. Any fish here? I'll have a hook on it. Now there is obviously ice sheets, that's what those are there. You can actually stand on those and walk around. There is events that spawn out there, but as a freshie, I wouldn't really bother. Like, getting in the water is going to kill you. And if you have a storm out there, you know, there's no trees to cover your fire. You can very easily get caught out, so I wouldn't recommend it as a freshie. But there is, there's some decent-ish stuff that spawns out there. We have the scientific events, we have, what else is it? The dead zombie you get on Sakal. The dead scientist, basically. Like, there is some decent stuff out there event-wise. But it's more so mid to late game that you don't want to be doing it as a freshie. Just focus on surviving, really. But yeah, essentially it's just making fires, you know, prioritizing your knife to the point where you're not wasting them. Then you make yourself this fishing rod that we have here. And just start heading inland. You know, once you're good to go, don't take too much time, because you're just going to run out of food again and end up doing it all over. All the good loot spawns up north. There's actually a few on. I'd say if you are new to hardcore servers, don't get frustrated. You probably will die quite a bit if you don't fully understand the process and the mechanics of dayz. You know, just keep trying. You will die, don't give up. I've got quite a few hours in dayz, so it looks probably easier than it is. Honestly though, fishing is pretty OP. Like, I'm fishing now with no hook on at all. Takes a while longer, but you do get fish. And believe it or not, you can now actually fish up cooking pots and pristine wellies. So the cooking pots alone, they're also fairly OP. Just as an example, you can cook 4 fish in it, I think. In the woods on one of the bipod things, the tripods. So 4 fish, you know, basically from here, if you was on an official server, that would get you to Tizzy. It probably won't get you as far on here. Wouldn't get you very far at all, to be honest. But yeah, it's fairly OP. I do play quite a bit solo, yeah. I run with other people now and again, but mainly prefer to play solo. I used to run with a big group a while ago, like 2 years ago. There was 9 of us. It was good fun. You know, we've had some good times over the years, but honestly, it just becomes hard work in the end. Groups, keeping track of everybody on PvP. dayz PvP is intense, and you know, if you're not all wearing the same gear, if you're not well coordinated communication-wise, it just becomes a nightmare. We lost people for different reasons, like people just stopped playing the game. Yeah, I don't know, I think these days I more prefer solo. Still play with a good buddy of mine now and again. We was actually on earlier. But it's rare these days I play with anything over 2. I always say you can just get more done as a solo. You haven't got anybody to feed, you know, you're not babysitting anybody. You're not constantly asking, where are you, I've lost you, and it's just a lot easier as a solo player. Oh, there we go, we got a few fish, that'll do us. So there's probably somebody around here for all that gas to be going on. So once you got your fish, same thing really, just find a nice isolated house away from the beaten track, or off the beaten track even. And yeah, just settle down and start cooking it. And that's yeah, I swear we're in Electro. I recognise the houses and everything, but I just can't make my mind up whether it's Berezino or Electro. I'm fairly sure it's Electro. Looks like Electro, yeah. Oh, cooking this log here. But you can kind of see how quick it is to get geared up. You know, it's hardcore, it's pretty cold, but honestly it's just not that hard once you know what to do. And look at that, we found a BK-18 with a round in it now. Hot wheel in that thing. And I'll probably break that fishing rod down in a second. Do make sure you've got your hand wraps made, because if you start cutting up food like this, you're going to get bloody hands, and then you'll end up with salmonella. So just, you know, make sure you've got hand wraps. Save yourself the trouble. Honestly, the only thing that will kill you on these servers is mistakes. Like, the tiniest mistake will end up killing you, because it's that cold. You haven't got time to mess about, really. Oh, I think I hear somebody running. Probably a zombie, is it? There is a few people on, alright. And usually I wouldn't even cook here, but because we're freshy. Alright, let's cook this and get the hell out of here. Oh, we need some bark or something. Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff, you know. Once you know how to make a fire in dayz, when it comes to hardcore servers, just like I said, just prioritizing your knife. And just trying to be quick about everything. Time is of the essence. Like even down to putting the food on before you light the fire, I guess that's pretty important as well. Because the less time you're in here, the better chance of survival. I mean, you're not going to find too many geared players down here, but it may happen, so you just don't want to hang around. Kind of goes to say anywhere on the map, that. But yeah, Sakal compared to this is so easy, honestly, just trust me. Sakal is a walk in the park compared to this. I was actually surprised when it came out and people were complaining saying it was too hard. It did make me laugh, let them be honest. Because we've had this server for such a long time as well, and you know, it's basically harder than Sakal. Doesn't look too bad right now, but believe me, when you get the snowstorms coming in, and the wind and the rain, that heat buff will not last long. So we've got our food here. I'm probably just going to prioritise looking for actual higher insulation clothing right now. Slowly make my way inland. I think we are at Electro. So if we are, we'll head past the church on that road up to the hunting camp. Probably head up to either Staroy. Yeah, Staroy. We'll do Staroy. You can also head up to Mogilevka, but there's not really much up there.